Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you part 1 of the Scheepjes Color Lab cowl. This cowl has been designed by Rochelle from Cyprus Textiles. And in part 1 we're making this square, so this granny square here, and we're going to be joining several of them together, 10 to be exact. So in part 1 I'll show you how to make this square, all the rounds involved, and how to join one square to the next. Let's just quickly take a look at what you need. For this part of the project you're going to need everything that's from your kit basically. You're going to need your 3 base colors. You're going to need quite a few of the mini balls. Depending on which colorway you're using, you'll be doing different colors, but you'll be using your mini balls, you'll be using your 3 base shades, and in addition to that you'll be needing stitch markers and of course a hook. And for part 1 we'll be using a 2.5mm hook. So these are the things that you need for part 1. Round 1, with whichever color you want to start with. I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook, and it's the 2.5mm hook. It's the one that you'll be using mostly. Chain 3 and then close in the first chain to form a ring. So 1, 2, 3, and this chain might be slightly hard to see where the hole is, so I'm just going to hook a stitch marker over here. That's just to help me find the ring in the next stitch, and then close on that first one. I realize this is all very small and very fiddly. Then close on that first chain. There we go. And now I've got the stitch marker in here to show me exactly where the ring is. Now for the first round, I'm going to do a beginning treble. That means here in the ring, so where the stitch marker is, in there. So I'm going to just next to the stitch marker insert my hook. Grab the yarn, so see just next to the stitch marker in the hole, grab the yarn, work a double crochet and then chain 1, and then this is the first treble, and we're going to close on that chain 1 when we come all the way round. Now to make the first edge, chain 1, this chain 1 is the corner, and then in the little hole there, make 2 trebles in the ring. So that's 1 here and 2. At this point I'm going to remove the marker from the ring because now I can find it. Because if you have a few stitches in there, it becomes easier to find. Again, chain 1, this is a new corner, and if you find it easier to find those corners, you can just hook a stitch marker in there to find the corner, to find that chain 1 space, if that's easier for you. So then that's the first corner, well that's actually the second corner. Then in the same space in the ring, work 2 more trebles, 1. Does get easier with your next rounds as they're bigger. It's the second treble. Again, chain 1. If you want to, you can hook up a stitch marker there as well. I'm just going to do that. It is all still very small. My apologies if my hands are in the way. That's the second corner I'm marking. And then here in the ring again, just open it up. If you pull at it, you'll see, there's the opening. And 2 more trebles, 1 and 2. Again, chain 1. So this is it's got 1, 2, 3 edges. This is your last corner, And let me just find another stitch mark. I'm just going to mark that corner again. And now work one treble in the ring. That's one treble in the ring. And now we're going to close on that beginning treble. Now you see here is a chain 2, and the second chain, the last one, belongs to the corner, but that first chain, this one here at the bottom, this one belongs to the beginning treble. So I'm just going to go into that stitch, and you can take one loop or you can take 2 loops. It's so small, I'm just going to take the one loop. I'm already happy if I'm in it, to be honest. And close on that chain with a slip stitch. And here, that chain there, that's the first corner, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 corners marked. And this is the end of round 1. I'm just going to slip stitch to the chain space, so into the next chain space. Just going to slip stitch in there. And now you can see how you've got 4 edges with 2 trebles on each edge and a chain 1 in the corners. And this was the first round, and perhaps this was the most fiddly round. So now we're ready for round 2. Round 2, going to turn your work. So you have now the wrong side of your work facing. So this is the back of what we just made. Going to start again with the beginning treble, and that means go into the chain space where you're currently in, grab your yarn, work a double crochet and chain 1. That is the first treble worked. Now chain 1, this is your new corner, that chain 1, and then in the same space work 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. And if you pull this open, you'll see that's the corner there. I'm just going to mark this corner this time. That's the chain 1 from the corner stitch. Now we're going to come to the next corner, which is marked here with the stitch marker, and in that corner work 3 trebles also. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, this is the new corner, so I'm going to move the stitch marker up. Move that up, and I've got it slightly tangled somewhere. I've got it the wrong way with the yarn. There you go, that's better. And now in the same space work again 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. I hope you start seeing the repeat. Now we're going to come to the next corner and work 3 trebles, chain 1, 3 trebles in that corner. So 1, 2, 3 trebles, chain 1. I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and I'll pop it back after I've done the next 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. You see there's the corner here in the middle. If you just pull it open, I'm going to pop the stitch marker in there. So that's the corner. And again, come to the next edge. the next corner here, work 3 trebles, chain 1 and 3 trebles in the corner. 1, 2, 3. Then chain 1, the chain 1 starts the repeat. I'm going to remove the marker. And 1, 2, 3. And then hook up that marker again in the corner. Now we're back almost all the way around to where we started. Here's the chain space where we started. I'm going to work 2 trebles in there because we've already got one from the beginning treble. So only 2 trebles. 1, 2, and then close on the first of the 2 chains. Remember there are 2 chains there. If you look closely, here's the this is the stitch we started with. That's a double crochet. And then the chain 1, so then use that chain 1 to close. I know you can take 1 loop or 2 loops from the chain. At this point I'm already happy if I'm just in the stitch, which I'm not. There we go. And close on the first of the 2 chains. Move with the slip stitch to the chain space. Split my yarn a bit, there we go. So move with this chain space to the corner. And now we're again at the end of round 2. Turn your work, so I'm going to work the other side again for round 3. Round 3, turn your work, so you now have the right side facing again. So we're going to keep on turning up until round 5 then, but I'll tell you when to stop. We're going to start in the same way. So in the chain space we're currently in, start with the beginning treble. So grab your yarn, work it double crochet, and then a chain 1. That's your first treble. Going to start the repeat unit. The repeat unit is from corner to corner. So this is a chain 1. That's your new corner, and then in the stitch in the same space where you're currently in, work 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to hook the marker in for the corner. Now come to the edge. If you pull open your stitches, you'll see there's a little gap between the groups of 3 trebles. Then in that gap work there 3 trebles. So in that gap work 3 trebles. So 1, 2, 3. Now going to come to the corner. In the corner work 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. And this is the full repeat. I'm going to do this 3 more times. I'll show you the repeat once more. Chain 1. This is your new corner. Just going to remove the stitch marker, and then 3 trebles in the same space. So that's 1, 2, 3, and if you want to, can mark that corner space there with the marker. On the edge between the 2 groups of trebles, if you just open that up, you see there's a gap. Work 3 trebles in that gap. 1, 2, 3. Come to the next corner and work 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Now work the repeat 2 times. Do this 2 more, and I'll just see you here for the last corner. Almost to the end of round 3, work here on the last edge. What I need to do now is work 2 more trebles in the corner and then close to the first stitch. Because you've already worked the first one, so that's why you only need to work 2 trebles here and not 3. So 2 trebles, and then come to the first stitch. That's on that chain, so this will be the same for all of these rounds. So on that chain, close there, and then move with a slip stitch to the corner again. That's the end of round 3. Then you can turn again for round 4. Round 4, I've already completed round 4 here. This is a repetition of round 3 with the wrong side facing. You can see I've got my yarn tail here to the back. So with the wrong side facing, repeat round 3. And what that only difference is that now you won't have one group in a space here on the edge, but you'll have 2 groups along the edge. That's the only difference. For the rest is exactly the same as round 3. So you're going to work these groups until you get to the corner, and then there's 3 trebles, chain 1, 3 trebles in the corner. Remember to move to the slip stitch, with the slip stitch to the corner at the end of the round, but go all the way around and repeat round 3. Round 5, you have the right side facing, so you can see you're starting yarn tail to the back. For round 5, repeat round 3. So this is again a repetition of round 3. I've already completed it here. And again, now you have one more group here along the edge. You've got 3 groups. In the corners, 3 trebles, chain 1, 3 treble. Important at the end of round 5, after you've closed with that and with the slip stitch to the first stitch, you can cut your yarn and fasten off. So I'm just pulling that loop through. You do not have to go to the corner space with the slip stitch. You can omit that. So fasten off at the end of round 5 and leave the right side facing. We're going to have the right side for all of the next rounds. Round 6, I have color A here, and we're going to attach color A with a slip stitch in any corner space. Now it doesn't matter which one you take. I'm going to take this space, attach in there with a slip stitch. The first treble is again a beginning treble, so I'm just going to grab my yarn. Oh, this is going to go, I've just twisted that yarn. There we go. Attach with a slip stitch, and then grab your yarn, work as stitch, which is of course a double crochet and a chain 1. This is the first treble. This is your starting treble. The edge, the repeats, 3 trebles in the same space. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So 3 trebles in the corner. And if you want to, you can mark this corner again. So then mark the corner with the chain 1 space. Along the edge, we're going to work 3 trebles in every one of these gaps there that are between the groups. So this is a lot like round 3. The only difference is you have a new color yarn, and you've of course attached your yarn with a slip stitch, so that's why it's not exactly the same. So 3 trebles in the gaps, and you do this until you get to the corner. So for this case, I'm going to do it 4 times, because because I've got 4 of these gaps to work. So that's 2, and my yarn ball is not cooperating. And then this here is 3, and then this one here is 4. So 3 trebles in between the groups of the previous groups of trebles. There you go. Now you're to the corner. Work in the corner 3 trebles, and what's important for round 6, if I didn't say that, you've got the right side facing, so very important, right side facing. 3 trebles in there, and then again to start, and that's the full repeat. So to start the next repeat, chain 1, which is your new corner, and then here work 3 trebles in the corner and then in all the groups, and here also. So this is a lot like round 3. Go all the way around, and when you come to the beginning, close on that beginning treble. I'll just show you that again, but for now go all the way round. Almost to the end of round 6. Just work those last 3 trebles. Here in the corner needs 2 more trebles. That's 1 and 2, and then come to the, you've got the 2 chains there, come to the well, you've got the 2, this is the double crochet, come to the chain there, close on there with a slip stitch. Then that completes round 6. Leave this side, leave the right side facing. Round 7, the right side facing, slip stitch to the corner space, and now a beginning treble, so in that chain space, double crochet and a chain 1. I'm gonna remove the stitch markers. I don't think I need them from now on. I can really see where the corners are. This edge is in essence the same as the previous round, so 3 trebles in the, oh well, I've missed the corner bits. Chain 1, that's the new corner. So chain 1, that's for your new corner, and then that starts the repeat also, and then 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3 trebles in the corner. Along the edge, in this case we're going to do it 5 times, work 3 trebles in between these spaces in the between previous treble groups. So this is again kind of a repetition of round 3. So 3 trebles. I'm just going to make a jump in the video, so 3 trebles in between here, because you've done this a few times now, until we get to the corner, and that's the last one. So now I've done 5 of these groups. Then in the corner space, 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. And then that's the first repeat. So for the second repeat, chain 1, which is your new corner, and then work 3 trebles in the corner space and along this edge also. So repeat this all the way around, and when you're here to the beginning, close on your beginning treble, so that's the chain 1 there, close on there with a slip stitch and leave your yarn attached and the right side facing. Round 8, this round is different, so take note. With the right side facing, I'm going to slip stitch to the corner. Now we make a beginning treble again, so a double crochet followed by a chain 1. This is your first treble. The repeat. Start with a chain 1. This chain 1 is your new corner, and in the corner space work 2 trebles. 1, 2, so 2 trebles in the corner. Now I'm going to work a little repeat until we get to the other side. That's chain 1, skip a stitch and work a treble. And the first stitch you're skipping is this one here. It might be hidden by the corner, so that's the first one. Skip that stitch and then work a treble in the next. We're going to do this until we're to the other side. So chain 1, skip a stitch and work a treble. Chain 1, skip a stitch and work a treble. I'm just going to continue doing this. There's a nice rhythm to these type of stitches. Skipping, be sure to skip the stitches properly. See, I've now skipped those stitches in between. Chain 1, skip a stitch and work a treble. There's quite a few stitches, but I'm just going to work them one by one with you until we get to the corner. Chain 1, skip a stitch, work a treble, chain 1, skip a stitch, work a treble, we're almost there, chain 1, skip a stitch, work a treble, there we go. At this point there should be 1 stitch left. Just going to chain 1 to skip that stitch and then come to the corner, work two trebles in the corner. 1 and 2. And that's the full repeat. So everything you've done here, do this 3 more times. So you will start with the chain 1, that's your new corner, 2 trebles in the corner, then chain 1, skip a stitch, treble all the way to the end, chain 1, skipping that last stitch and work the new corner. Go all the way around, and when you're here back at the beginning, close on your beginning treble with a slip stitch and leave the right side facing. Round 9, we're currently in that beginning treble from the previous round, so we're going to move to the corner with a slip stitch. And to start the round, a beginning treble, same we've done before. Chain 1, this starts the repeat unit. In the corner, make 2 trebles. 1 and 2. And now on each stitch and space work a treble. That's going to be 25 in total. Especially this first one, be mindful of this stitch that you don't accidentally miss it. So there, that's 1. This is 2. Number 3 here falls in the chain space. And 4 on the treble. And continue like this, work a treble on every stitch until you're to the other side. And 1 more. And this is 25. So number 25 falls here on the last stitch just before the corner. That's 25. Then in the corner space, 2 trebles. 1 and 2, and then you've made the entire repeat. So to start the next repeat, chain 1, and then of course 2 trebles here in the corner, and then a treble on every stitch. Go all the way around, and when you get here back to the beginning, you'll work 1 more treble in the space because you've already got that beginning treble, so just the 1 treble in the space, and then close on the first stitch with a slip stitch. Round 10, which I've already worked here, is a repetition of round 8. So again, 2 trebles, chain 1, 2 trebles in the corner, then chain 1, skip a stitch and work a treble all the way along the edge. So round 10, repeat round 8. Round 11, this round you're only going to work this way on the first square, because on your second squares you'll be doing a join as you go round. For the first square only, you're currently in the beginning treble of the previous round, which was a round 8 repeat. In the chain 1 corner space, work 3 double crochets in there. That's 1, 2 and 3. So you've got 3 doubles. And now mark the second of those 3, because that's the corner, and it's important to know where the corner stitch is, because that'll just make life easier for you when we're joining. So in the second of those 3, I'm just going to place a marker. Now along the edge, work a double crochet on every stitch or every chain space. If you just open them up, so that's going to be 33 in total, 33 doubles. Here's the first stitch, especially this one, it's easy to skip. So that's 1, this is 2, near the chain space is number 3. Continue, work a double crochet on every stitch until you get to the other side. 1, and this is the last one. 2, there we go. So the last 2 double crochets, and then you've worked 33 here along the edge. In the corner, just going to remove the stitch marker, work again 3 single crochets, double crochets. 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and mark that second one with the marker. And now you're at the same point here as this corner. So go all the way around, repeat, in every stitch you work a double crochet, 3 in the corner, and here when you're back you'll work your last 2 doubles and then close on your first stitch with a slip stitch, and then you can also fasten off your yarn. For your second motif, you see here's the first motif, so that's completed all 11 rounds. So this is the first one. Your second motif, work exactly the same pattern up to round 10. So you see here, but the difference will be that your center will be a different color and your edge will be a different color. But do exactly the same up to round 10. And for round 11, we're going to do the join as you go by joining these 2 squares along one edge. So first of all, work a second motif up to round 10. Round 11, this is the first join as you go round. Currently in that first stitch with a slip stitch, and we're going to start this round the same way as we did round 11 on the first square. That means in the chain 1 corner space we're going to work 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2 and 3. There we go. Now I'm going to place a marker in that second of the 3 doubles, and this will help me to find it later on. So I'm just going to place a marker there. Now along this straight edge, I'm going to work a double crochet on every stitch. That's 33 doubles. So on this edge, 33 doubles. First one, and that will bring me to the other side, and then we're ready to do the join. So work a double crochet on every stitch, 33 in total. This is number 33. So 33 double crochets along the edge. Now we're at the corner, and what we're going to do is on this square we're now going to join to the first square that we made. So this join is now important. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start in the current square. And here's the chain space. I'm just going to remove the marker. I'm going to use that one in a moment again. And in the chain space make 2 double crochets. So only 2. That's 1 and let me just do that one again. 2. So 2 double crochets. Now I'm going to mark the second one because this is the corner stitch. I'm just going to mark that one. You can make do without marking this stitch, but just for completeness sake I'm marking it. Now we're going to start with the join. And here's where it's important that we've marked these corners on the adjacent square. We're going to join now in the stitch that contains the stitch marker. And what we're going to do is you're going to remove your hook from your current square. So I'm going to open up this loop and remove the hook from there. And I'm going to just rotate my work a bit because I find that just slightly easier. Then come to the square that you want to join. So this is the adjacent square. And in that marked stitch, I'm going to insert my hook from front to back. So I've got to the front of my work facing. I'm going to insert the hook like that in the stitch that contains the marker. You can pop the marker to the other side, or you can actually remove it if it's in the way. So from front to back, inserting your hook. Then come back to the square that you're working and pick up your working yarn and pull the loop tight. So again, pulling that loop as though you want to work with it. And now we're going to pull this loop through the stitch on the adjacent square. So I'm actually going to remove both of these markers at this point because they're just slightly in the way. And the point of what we were doing was to find them in the right place. So I'm just going to pull this loop through. And that was your first PLT join. In the chain 1 space, work another double crochet. Now again, open up your loop and come to the next stitch on your adjacent square. So you see there's the one that contains that join. I'm going to do that again, but now going to the next stitch. So again, front to back. So this is the front of my work that's facing. So insert your hook, pick up your loop again, pull that loop tight and pull through. Now come to the first stitch, work a double crochet in there, open up the loop and come to the next stitch. Insert your hook front to back, pick up your working yarn again and pull through the loop. And this process you're now going to repeat until you're to the chain corner space. I'm going to continue a single on every stitch, a double crochet. And see, this is the next stitch here is the chain space. There. And then on the other side, but there are no chain spaces on this side, so don't worry about that. Those are all just double crochets. So then grab the next double crochet, pull the loop through. The next stitch here is a treble, so a single crochet on there. And then come to the next stitch, insert your hook, and remember to have the loop on your hook, and pull through. And this is the effect that you're getting. You see, getting these little waves. Now continue like this. So one stitch at a time. So first a double crochet and then pulling the loop through. Continue on one on every stitch, and then I'll see you back when I'm about here, that I'll show you the corner again. So you'll be doing 33 of these in total because of course you have 33 stitches. I'll show you once more, and then I'll make a jump in the video. So the next one here is in the chain space, double crochet in there, open up the loop, come to the next stitch, insert your hook, pull that loop tight and pull through. And continue like this until you're almost to the other side. Now I've come quite a way along the edge. See here I've worked quite a few of these stitches. I have 3 stitches left here on this side. You've got a chain space and 2 trebles on this side left, and on that side I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left, and then the marked stitch. And I'm currently with my hook in a loop after having pulled it through. So what I'm going to do, just turn my work a bit, then it's just easier for me. In the next space, work a double crochet, open up the loop. So I've still got a few of these joints to make. In the next stitch, pick up the loop. Oh yeah, and this does happen a bit. At least it happens to me that I drop the yarn as I pull it through. Now 2 more trebles, a double crochet in the first, open up the loop, come to the next stitch, pull through, I've split my yarn a bit, there we go, and 1 more treble left. This last treble gets a double crochet, and then on the other side, see where I put in my hook, and then there's 1 stitch left, and then there's the marked stitch. So that's where we are right now. Insert and pull through. There we go. So now I've done all the stitches along the edge, and the next here is the chain corner space on my current square, and on my adjacent square, I guess I've got 1 stitch left, and I've got the marked stitch, and then there's of course the 3rd stitch in the corner as well. So that's the point where I'm at right now. Now in the chain 1 space, work 1 double crochet, and now come to the other side, and now we're going to insert your hook front to back in that last stitch before the marked stitch, and pull through. In the chain corner space, work 2 double crochet, so 1 and 2. I'm just going to remove the marker from the main square space and move it here to the, you've just worked 2 doubles. I'm going to insert it into, there's 1, I can't see it. The yarn is a little bit darker, then I just need to look properly at, there it is. That's where I'm going to insert my hook. So the first of those 2 doubles worked. And then you've got 2 stitch markers next to one another. You can see what your join looks like here. And that's it. That was the hardest part of all part 1. I'm going to pick up my yarn again, and now on this edge work 33 double crochets, 1 on every stitch. 1, 2, 3, and continue, and then you'll be to the corner. I'll see you at the corner, but for now work a double on every stitch, and the last one, and there we go. So that's 33 doubles. You're now at your next corner. I'm just going to remove the marker. Work 3 doubles in the corner space. So that's 1, 2, 3 doubles, and mark that 2nd stitch, because this is going to be your next join corner. So mark that 2nd of the 3, put your stitch marker back there, and now you're on your last edge, your final edge of the square. See, here's where we started. 33 double crochet, so 1 on each, and then I'll see you at the end of the round on 33 double crochets, 1 on every stitch or space in the chain space. And I've got 2 stitches left, these 2 trebles, 1 on each, double crochet on each, so that's 1, and the next one is, of course, has the slip stitch already, so I'm just going to insert my hook in there, and there we go. So now I've got 33 along this edge, and close on your first stitch. And now you see you've marked the corner, and this is then, of course, the stitch just next to it, with a slip stitch. That's it, and now you can fasten off. So cut your yarn and open up this loop, work away these yarn tails, and then I'll just show you the joins. This is your work up to now. So this was the first square, this was the second square, and here you see the join between the two. Now if we just zoom in so that I can show you what those joins look like. If you look closely here, I've put the markers back. I removed them, but I put them back. You see this is what this join looks like. Exactly where the join is. And if you go to the other side, this is what your join looks like, and the markers indicate the corner stitches on either side. So this join is, you're going to be doing this a few more times. So where do we go from here? Now you've worked motif 1 and 2, and you're now going to do the same but with other color combinations. So you see I've worked here. So this is the center part of all my next squares. I've already done those. So this is the next center square. I don't know which one is next. I'll have to check the color layout on the pattern, but let's say it's this one. And then again you'll work the gray rounds around it, and then on the last round do that join as you go here on the edge. And this way you're going to join all of these squares the one after the other. Do take note of the order of the colors. So when do you have which gray shade, which colored placement do you use? So do double check that in the written pattern and the schematics. But everything I've shown you, you're going to repeat more of that. So working your squares, and on the last edge, then your join won't be here, but it'll be along this edge. So and that way you'll be putting them one after the other. And of course when you're done, remove all your yarn, work away all your yarn tails, and you can also remove these markers. I mean, these ones here in the corner, you don't need them anymore, so you can use them for the next square, because depending on how many markers you have. But for now, I'm just going to continue working all of this, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm all done. When you've completed part 1, this is what your work looks like. I've placed a marker on top of the first square so that I always have my reference the same. So this was square 1 and 2, and then you've added many more squares to your work, and you can see, and this is here is the last square. So you've got a whole piece of fabric with all of these squares next to one another. This is the end of part 1. I hope to see you again soon for part 2.